Hey folks, welcome to Humpday Happy Hour. This is from the Dentist in the Know. This is the podcast where dentistry meets real talk, real news, and just the right amount of sarcasm. We're pulling back the curtain on the industry, talking to the experts, the innovators, and the everyday clinicians who are out there doing the work. No fluff, no filter, and definitely no sales pitches disguised as education. If it's happening in dentistry, from clinical breakthroughs to regulatory curveballs to the latest scandal at the ADA, we're probably already talking about it, and yes, we're bringing the receipts. So whether you're a seasoned doc, a curious consumer, a rep, a researcher, or just here for the drama, welcome to the show, because around here, we're not just in the loop, but we are in the know. Hey folks, I am Chad Duplantis, and I'm one of your hosts of Dentist in the Know. Tonight, I am here with Dr. Jennifer Bell. And we have a special guest that I'll introduce in just a few minutes, Jana Macon from Curve Dental. And tonight's show is supported by Curve Dental, and we just want to be extremely thankful and mindful of that and tell them how much we appreciate them in supporting our endeavor to the industry. JB, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay. Welcome to a new platform. I feel like we should just go ahead and tell folks we're trying out a new platform. Hold on, Jana. Hang tight. Watch this.
Yeah, there we go.
Bam!
Oh, goodness.
Anyway, we'll get there. But I think people can appreciate how miserable it had been on StreamYard. It was like watching a podcast having a seizure simultaneously. So this should be a real upgrade, and I am very excited. But we're going to have to just ride the bucket on this one. I will also say this, though. Because Curve has graciously decided to be an amazing educational partner with us for 2026, this won't be their last opportunity. So we're going to make this one amazing, but I feel confident that each one will continue to get better as we get more and more comfortable in our new skin here on Riverside.
You know, nobody really knows the hell that we were going through with our previous provider, but I will just say this, and I have no problem saying this, and I hope that everybody hears it. If you are videocasting, podcasting, doing conferencing, live shows, whatever, do not use StreamYard. It was the absolute worst experience. This is my 1-star review for StreamYard. All of a sudden it started getting glitchy, and then once you try to get help, they sent me to a bot that came back with everything that I had already done, and they are very, ignorant of the problems that they present for people. And it was
that'll be interesting if we talk about AI tonight and what its use is in practice management software. And, here are the customers experiencing it firsthand. And overall, my experience with AI has been it works okay.
Yeah. Well, I can debate that, but I actually had a
It depends on the platform.
Well, of course it does. But I had this wonderful deal today where this instructor from the dental school sent out a survey on a student that is doing some research on artificial intelligence and is going to publish a poster at some dental student thing coming up. I don't know. But anyhow, the questions were really, really good. And I just want to throw this out there because I'm going to tell you the gist of the question, and then I'm going to ask what your answer would be, because I found it to be really a challenging question. And I'll tell you why I answered the way that I did. Okay, so do you believe that the use of AI in clinical practice is ethical in accordance with the ADA standards? That was the gist of the question.
I do. And in fact, the ADA has a standards committee specifically dedicated to developing and continuing to evolve the AI standards for dentists. So, I mean, even the AI is recognizing that, even the ADA is recognizing that AI is going to play a part. And frankly, Chad, it plays a part when we don't even know it. You know, so take an iTero scan and how we manipulate to a multi-treatment simulation. There's AI involved in that. Now, do I know how it's involved or what it's doing? Not really. But I know that I interface with AI on a regular basis when I don't even know it. And I think the ADA is basically saying, look, it's already a part of clinical practice, and there are real wins to be had when AI can be deployed correctly. But they are developing the ethical standards. So I don't think it's unethical, but I do think the ADA is working really diligently to build that standards committee to have an opinion on all aspects of how we use AI.
So, I answered no.
Well,
But I did not get a chance to explain myself because I had a really hard time and I felt that it was a really gray area.
okay.
So, and I want you to, after I say this, I want to go back to something else that you said earlier.
Okay.
But anyhow, I feel that AI truly has the potential to be abused, and individuals in practice would be possible for them to violate their ethical code. Because I think that they could abuse AI and use it to their advantage rather than to the patient's benefit. So I think everything I think there's a lot of false positives, and that's okay. But I think that everything needs to be looked at with the AI off, with the AI on, and then we need to use these things.
Yeah,
Because
but ultimately, doesn't that come down to the public, like helping them understand?
Well, it does, and the ADA's the way they, researched and defined the use of
really
AI in
quickly.
dentistry. It's fantastic. Their white paper from 2023 was fantastic. I liked everything that they said,
Yeah.
but the thing is that I think that it says that the dentist needs to make the clinical decisions.
Correct.
And I think where I say it's unethical, it's not that the ADA's code is unethical, it's that we could violate that code very easily if we let the AI make the clinical decisions versus the dentist make the clinical
For
decisions.
sure.
So I know we've got to get to our guests and you got to get to some news, but I got to tell you a real quick funny story about AI.
Okay.
Have you heard about these AI generated books for people?
Oh yeah, yeah. Mhm.
So, Logan, whoever it is, pull this right here because I want them to sponsor this. Bookbyanyone.com. I went to it. I encourage everybody to go there.
Have you written a book already?
I gave it to my brother for his 60th, so I can't wait to read it. But I started looking through the chapters. Entering the information is so much fun. It's so much fun. And you just reminisce on the past 60 years of my brother's life,
Yeah, that's kind
And,
of cool.
and we put this book together, put a picture of him on a cover. It says it's national bestseller. And I also got one for my wife. His was a story about his life. There was a lot of comedy interspersed in it. My wife's is not a murder mystery, but it's a mystery.
It's a murder mystery.
No, it's not a murder
Can I get
mystery.
proof of life for Ellen,
It's
please?
not a murder mystery. It's
Ellen?
a mystery revolving around shopping. Because that's what she likes to do.
She loves it.
The kids
And
thought it was the
she's
greatest
really good
gift.
at decorating too.
But hey, bookbyanyone.com. I highly recommend it. It was so much fun putting it together, and they're very reasonably priced. So there you go. Plug that, Logan. Okay.
Ellen, if you're out there, just send me a text. I really would love proof of life.
All right.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
There's some wild news out there. I mean, not to mention the national and global news. I mean, it's been a busy first part of the year. I'll tell you that right now. Probably should check on Minnesota at some point here pretty soon. All right, guys. I'm gonna hide you because we don't know how else to make you go away. All right, here we go. So here's the news for this week. Thanks for bearing with us. Obviously, we're on a new platform, so that's news number one. A couple of interesting stories that came out. Of course, there was a horrific story, actually quite a few stories about dentists and shootings, and there was a dental assistant that was shot, and there's been some very weird stories over the last 2 or 3 weeks. We've obviously been on a little hiatus, so we haven't talked about it. But there was also a dentist and his wife that were both shot in Ohio. Their 2 kids, unharmed, both still in the home when it was discovered. And they were only found because the dentist failed to report to work for that day. So they did a welfare check at the home. Today, as far as I know, there's still no known suspect, no known motive. So I think they're still trying to figure out what happened. You know, I'm sure all of us are sort of processing, is this a disgruntled patient? Was this a personal issue? Whatever may be going on. Certainly on the outset, they look like a very happy, beautiful family, you know, with 2 cute kids and all that stuff. So our condolences to their family and certainly to their kids. It's just a big shock, honestly, for that. And I really hope that it wasn't a patient, because that would be a pretty big hit and blow to the dental community. Another condolence that has to be passed along would be for Greg Biffle. Now, I know it seems kind of strange that we're going to talk about Greg, as he was a NASCAR driver, and what could he possibly have to do with dentistry? But if you'll remember, he died in a plane crash on December 18th, just outside of Statesville, North Carolina. He's a big famous person here in our state, and obviously NASCAR is big in North Carolina anyway. But what Greg did, the life that he lived outside of the track, was pretty amazing. Most recently, he was very famous for helicopter rides that he was taking to and from his home and community to the areas of Asheville and the North Carolina mountains that had been hit pretty profoundly by Hurricane Helene almost a year ago. He'd been taking supplies and doing rescue missions, search missions, all kinds of different things up in that area to help folks. He was a pilot himself, although he wasn't piloting the plane that crashed that I know of when it went down. But how he's connected to dentistry is that actually 3M has been a sponsor for his team for quite some time, almost a couple of decades now. And through that relationship with 3M, he also became affiliated with Henry Schein Cares and Give Kids a Smile. He was active in those programs. He promoted them. He participated in marketing and getting outreach for those different programs. And so, you know, the dental community did lose quite an advocate in Greg Biffle when he passed away a few weeks ago in that tragic accident. And honestly, when you look at the life he lived off the track and his willingness to contribute and help community members in the mountains of North Carolina, as well as the underserved communities with dental care and access to dental care through Henry Schein Cares and through Give Kids a Smile, a testament to a life well lived while he was on the earth with us. And so I wanted to make sure he got a little bit of notoriety for the contributions he made while he lived here on earth. Blessings to his family and to those who are mourning his loss. And yet another interesting arrest and indictment coming out of Atlanta for another veneer tech indicted on more than 100 charges. Brandon Dillard was accused of illegally providing cosmetic dental procedures over the period of 2021 to 2024, roughly bringing in millions of dollars for those procedures. He is not a licensed dentist, but was advertising cosmetic dental procedures through Instagram and through different media outlets. He was taken to court and was cited for a lot of violations. One was Georgia's racketeer influence in corrupt organizations, or the RICO Act, theft by deception, practice of dentistry without a license, practice of medicine without a license, battery, possession of dangerous drugs, and conspiracy to commit insurance fraud, and many more. I think he'll be headed to jail. We'll see. His sentence has not been fully determined yet. And the last statistic or news story I should share for the night really isn't awesome, if I'm being honest. HPI statistics, which we've been tracking for quite some time since COVID, Had a little bit of disheartening information that came out just recently in their latest report from 2025, continuing to see a drop in income for dentists pretty precipitously. We saw a little bit of a bump in 2021, back up to normal pre-2020 levels. And then it's really tailed since then. And we're dipping well below 2019 salary income levels. And unfortunately, with no end in sight, with staffing increasing costs and supply increasing costs and other fixed costs also going up simultaneously, and reimbursement rates flatlining, no positive outlook for the dental economics to date. We'll continue to look for opportunities to economize. Dinks actually is going to be bringing you a great opportunity to help on your overhead. Curve is going to be working with us for some deals for our members, as well as some additional organizations that are going to help with group purchasing. So stay tuned. We're here for you. We really want to continue to support the independent practitioners and rise them up and help them succeed in their everyday practice. And with that, that's the news. All right, and now I have to figure out how to get myself out of here. So we'll show chat.
There we go. Now we're working.
I'm trying.
Hey, can you make there? Well, and you know what? While you're bringing up Jana, I'll go ahead and introduce her if that's all right.
Okay, I'd love to.
All right. So Jana Macon is our guest for tonight. We're just really honored to have her here. She is the president of Curve Dental and has a healthcare executive experience background of more than 25 years, leading software and SaaS organizations. She has spent her career helping healthcare businesses modernize operations, improve efficiency, and scale sustainably. Prior to Curve Dental, Jana played a key role in scaling Brightree from startup to market leader, culminating in its acquisition by ResMed. Today, she works closely with dental practices and growing groups to help them navigate economic pressure, staffing constraints, and technology decisions shaping the future of dentistry. We have a lot to talk about tonight. Jana, welcome. Thank you to Curve Dental. And I am a proud Curve user for the past several years, so hopefully I can chime in on some things. But welcome.
Thank you. Really excited to be here and chat with you guys tonight.
Well, we appreciate you sticking with us through the technical difficulties.
Not a problem. I live in the technology world where everyone's changing.
Yeah, every single day.
I totally get it.
So before we get cranking on Curve, and I know that there's a report that we want to talk about, I think it would be great to start off with a question about what we were talking about regarding AI earlier. What are your thoughts on AI in dentistry?
Yeah, it's very interesting as I'll say the AI bubble began to expand, in the last 18 months or so. You start to see all these companies pop up if you're at a big show or something, and everyone's got a little point solution, that they're wanting to get out there and to help, right? They all are trying to help all the problems you were talking about, the huge increase in your overhead, headcount, staffing issues, all the things, right? And so it's all very interesting. We really sat down with our board last March, and we were kind of saying dentistry doesn't really love to adopt technology really fast. Dentists tend to be pretty conservative about what they want to add to their practice. Do we want to focus on other things, or do we want to focus on AI? And by the time we got to March, we said, okay, here's the right thing. And again, you're dealing with a team, executive team that has worked in SaaS healthcare for about 30 years now. So we've kind of seen these things before, but AI is kind of new for everybody. So we said, what do we need to do? And we all said, we're not just going to slap AI on something and tell everybody that it's now Curve AI. That's ridiculous. You see it a lot, but that's not who we are. So what we realize is that AI is here to help the dentist. Like, I love the conversation that you guys were having to say, well, you could violate your ethics code if you just lean on AI to kind of do your job. Well, that's not really what it's about, right? So for what we said is that we're going to take the time and money to invest in putting AI into the core tenets of our software. So that's charting, or clinical, let's call it. There's clinical, there's billing, there's scheduling. Those are the key tenets, right? And then there's all kinds of things that hang off of each of those. So for us, we want to do everything to take the busy work out of what you're doing so that you do the meaningful work. Like you spend more time with your eyes, on the radiograph or in the mouth or talking to the patient, helping them understand why the treatment plan matters. So what you'll see us launch during first quarter, will be in a beta period just in a couple more weeks, is sort of the ability to do your notes, your clinical notes, just by speaking with ambient listening in your operatory. It'll go straight into either your templated notes or a quick note. You'll be able to chart with your quick buttons. If you're using Curve, you sort of know what this means. So the charting by voice will work, and the perio by voice will work, and that's all through ambient listening, in your operatory. So does that mean you don't need a dental assistant in there? Probably not. You may still need them to do some things, but you probably can go a lot faster and get more accuracy because you're not depending on someone else to hear you and translate. You're saying exactly what you want in your note. You'll confirm your note, save it, that's your signature, and you're done. So again, we're training voice models on dental nomenclature. We're testing them. We're using all the voice, data that we kind of have already. We've been in alpha for a couple of months now with a few dentists just feeding us more and more and more charting notes so that we can make sure they're accurate. So that's just one example. But I think if you apply it where you can get rid of busy work and let the dentist focus on the important stuff for them to be engaged in, I think that you improve care.
So you might not be able to answer this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Is this this AI? Is it a partnership with a company that or this is all created in-house?
Everything that I'm talking to you about, we have it under one umbrella called Curve Flow, FLO. We have Grow, GRO, Flow, FLO. So it's under Curve Flow AI, and we are releasing these AI agents that are organically built inside the Curve platform, using your public, large language models that you would expect.
Boy, I sure know somebody that really loved to beta test that. I'm just throwing one out there.
You're in alpha.
We'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah. I just thinking out loud here.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's huge. I think that's such a advocate. Actually, you bring up, do we still need a dental assistant? And I can tell you, my dental assistants absolutely loathe notes. Like they would much rather also be sitting chairside doing the dentistry with us than typing and transcribing. They worry about spelling. They worry about their interpretation. We often will say fancy words that we shouldn't say, and they don't know how to put that into a note, or they simply don't have time, and then we're relying on everyone's memory of what happened in that appointment, what was discussed, and it's usually like 75% of the actual information. So I think you're right on, Jana, about identifying those areas that are cumbersome, required, but cumbersome to the everyday practice that will allow them to be a lot more efficient, and staff won't be there after hours finishing notes or just putting them off. And frankly, some just won't do them efficiently, and then you end up having to have performance issues and that kind of thing. So I love that you're providing that support, because I think that's going to be a big win for your users.
Yeah, I agree. We're super excited about reducing overtime.
Yes.
Taking stress off the dentist sitting on the couch at night if they have a cloud platform, and going through and making sure they're all right. Just all of the things that we accept as a necessary evil can just go away, and you can be compliant and you can get reimbursed correctly because it'll be right.
That's right. And my hope is, as that becomes more prolific, it will function more searchable, because most of the AI, chat engines now and things where you're feeding information, they're searchable engines. And so, for instance, if I want to know what's ever happened with tooth number 2 over the life of the patient in my practice, it's almost impossible for me to find that information because it's static within the chart system. But AI is going to allow that to start to make that data so much more alive and available on a regular basis. I think everybody wins in that scenario for sure.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, you should be.
Two talking points from this. The first is that I feel your pain, Jennifer. I just have to hit that first, trying to find something in the chart. A feature I love about Curve is the history and the way that it's segmented, and it makes it so much easier to find. It's like you find that button and you're like, aha. So anyhow, I do have some just suggestions on it to make it even easier. AI might assist with that. But one of
Really
the
quick,
things,
Chad.
yeah,
For our users that don't know who and what Curve is and what they do for the dental profession, Jana, can you just give them, a 36,000
great
foot
point.
view on Curve in the marketplace, the services they're providing, and your users?
Yeah. So Curve Dental is cloud-based practice management. It is an all-in-one platform, meaning that we try to build everything end-to-end inside the single platform. We do have some integrations with others. We try to make that very seamless so that your experience as a user feels very connected and easy for workflows. We focus very much on efficient workflows, allowing you to have less staff to function more efficiently. And those are the $20 million we invest every single year in this product is all about that. Is kind of what I said, getting rid of busy work and focusing either the front desk or the dentist or the billing on the important work. And so this is a journey that we've been on since we've been in dentistry on this product for 8 years. This product was one of the first ones in the cloud in the early 2000s, about 2006. And we came in 2018, myself, my team, again, tons of medical SaaS experience, and we were super excited to do the same thing we've done in other industries in dentistry, and that is kind of bring the technology forward, help the change management to ease the pain of that, and to help people really from a business perspective. In home health, hospice, private duty, we spent about 15 years kind of teaching medical professionals how to run their business, because that's not something that is given in training in your studies. And so to have software that really allows, a proprietor, a practitioner, a dentist in this case, to also have confidence and strength in running their business and be able to do things more efficiently, especially when things get tough like they are now. I think you mentioned, Jennifer, about the expenses. I mean, in the report, you can see HealthStream is calling out about 62% of your dollars are going to expenses, maybe more than that.
I think more probably.
Yeah, and then about the same number of people surveyed, 62% of the group said their biggest problem is staffing. So now you have pressure to increase pay in order to get more people, all those things. Having a platform that you can do things more efficiently and you can do more with less people and get it right, it's super important at times like this. I mean, when we were in other areas of software, we started to see reimbursement rates get under really extreme pressure. We haven't seen that yet, but like you said, they're kind of easing up. And as soon as Medicare is in here, I can promise you that's exactly what's going to happen. There's going to be a ton of pressure on reimbursement, and you have to have great technology to make it easier to do your job, compliantly, efficiently, get your reimbursement. So that's the journey we're on.
And one of the things that I want to point out, I already told you one of the many things that I like about Curve, but the biggest thing that I really like is that there are a couple of companies, and I know that Jennifer works with them as well, that we stick with because they are constantly one step ahead. And so, what I'd like to say about Curve is that you guys are truly constantly one step ahead. And, I know you mentioned integrations, and I know there was some that was in-house, so I'm going to say every integration and addition is for the better of the end user and ultimately the patient. And I've just been really impressed with a lot of the offerings, and I love the integrations. I beta tested the Pearl AI integration and absolutely just love utilizing that on a daily basis. And so thank you guys for staying on top of it.
Yeah, no worries. Something that it's what we get up to do every day. We don't do anything else. We just do software, and we do software for the dental community.
JB, do you want to bring up the report or mention it? And
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dental Industry Trends put out a technology report not that long ago, and it sounds like Curve was pretty well featured in that. You want to talk a little bit more about some of the highlights?
Yeah,
We're
sure.
going to publish it in the show notes so everybody can access it and take a peek.
I think the highlight of the whole report was to really kind of say what we all know, and I've already said, is the amount of pressure that you all that have dental businesses, dental practices are under. And to really bring that to the fore to say, you're not alone. This is what everyone's experiencing, right? It's not just your practice, it's everyone. And then to say, what are the answers? What are the answers that they see and the trends that they see in the market? And then finally, if you're thinking about growing, maybe buying practices, or you're thinking about selling, maybe becoming part of a group or selling to a PE, what are the things you need to do to be more ready? And that's an area that HealthStream themselves focus very much on. So they have a lot of insight in that. So I would say, I think the biggest theme and probably the biggest reason that Curve is featured so favorably is they're really saying things like growth without efficiency is not sustainable anymore. You know, your income as a dentist might be up 3.5%. Your expenses are up 6.75 in the same period. It's ridiculous. You're going backwards, right? And the staffing challenges, they don't help you. We've already kind of talked about that. And here's the thing we haven't talked about yet that they mentioned that I really loved, because I've been preaching this for the last 3 years since COVID. COVID changed everything for the patients. Their expectations went through the flipping roof, I think, of you guys through COVID, because everywhere they had a lot of places, their bank, their gym, their hair salon, wherever, that they were used to interacting with digitally. And then when it all got to where, oh, we can't go in person, and then they're thinking, well, I can talk to my pediatrician for my kids. I can talk to my doctor. I can't get a hold of my dentist, or my dentist can't tell me what's going on. That it really put a lot of pressure on dentistry to really up the game on the way that you interact with patients and what you allow them to do in a digital format. So that was a big landscape change that happened. And I would say that for the people who haven't made that jump, who are maybe still a little afraid to open up online scheduling, they're afraid their schedule will be bombarded, they'll have wrong time blocks. You need to pick a software that has a scheduler that gives you the adequate control so that doesn't happen to you, but your patients are getting the product or the service, you know, that they're looking for from you. So I thought that was really important that they pointed out, sort of, you have to make that jump. You can't say, well, we're going to do our dentistry the way we always did it. Kind of like when we went from a paper appointment book to a digital, you know, I mean, it's that kind of change right now, I think.
Right.
So I think that was a big theme. I don't know what you guys think about that in your own practices.
No, I think that's really critical. And I think what's most important is that access can be in a dental office cost effectively. Because if you look at large medical facilities that are using all of these very advanced online scheduling platforms, communication tools, whatever, they're paying a tremendous amount of money to Epic or MyChart or whoever else is running these different platforms to be a part of that ecosystem. Dentistry is still 75% a cottage industry where every dollar is highly accounted for. And if you want to complain about the cost of dentistry, then you can't say dentistry is too expensive, but I also want all these, you know, adjunct services available to me at my own request and desire, because all of those things come at a cost that dentists ultimately have to absorb. So I think the biggest home run is that not only are they highlighting that you can offer those things on your platform and that it's easy to use and friendly, but it's cost effective. Like, dentists don't have to break the bank to be a part of Curve.
Yeah, that's right.
And leverage that technology and give that opportunity to patients, which I think is, you know, probably been the biggest restriction up to this point, is the investment financially that it would take for a practice to be able to do that. Do you think that's true, Jana?
It's so true. And through our sales and interaction with people who are considering Curve, we go through a whole process of, here's the whole list of things you're not going to have to pay for anymore. Yeah. People don't really think about, you know, the fact that they're printing, scanning, shredding. Well, there's a lot of cost right there that goes away entirely. You know, then there's a lot of efficiency. You know, I'm not handing people paper forms. They're filling them out. I'm scanning them in. I'm retyping them. That never happens again. I fill it out on my phone. It goes straight into the system. You don't touch it. So there's a whole list of things like that depending on how aware I am as a dentist, I might be heads down, fingers in mouth, not even really knowing what's available, right? I'm just trudging it through every day. But when you can kind of lift your head up and look, you should be able to do all that stuff, right? You don't have to be using Epic, right, and paying $1 million a year to have the right kind of software. And that's really what my team kind of came in dentistry to prove, is to say, let's take a great foundation, let's do the things we know we need to do to make it great, and let's create an affordable, you know, a realistic investment for dentists where we can take all this nonsense off the table and they can offer these kind of service to their patients.
Yeah, and even dentists can say, I mean, you're disruptors for the old, hierarchy of PMSs out there that were, when I came online 15, 17 years ago now, were stupid expensive and slow to update and monster beast programs that would eat up a computer. I did see one smoke one time when Dentrix was on there. I thought, this thing is never coming back. Like, this is the death of the computer. So, you and a few others out there are really pushing the market to say, no, it doesn't have to be super cost prohibitive. It doesn't have to be this big juggernaut in your practice that takes 37 minutes to load every morning when you get there. Like, this can be an enjoyable experience, and it doesn't have to eat up your P&L at the end of the year either. So I think it's super important for that.
Something that I talk to a couple groups about, and I don't talk about it a lot, but I think it fits in here.
Yeah.
Is I challenge everybody to think about our staffing challenges. What age people are you typically hiring for front desk? I don't know, 18, 19 to 30, usually, right? These are entry-level jobs or whatever. Okay. What are those people used to? Those people were born in 2000, 2001, 2003, 2005. What did they grow up with in their hand? A phone and or a computer. So then I sit them down in front of a circa 1980 client server software that has 5 million buttons on it. And what I hear from users that I've talked to the last 8 years is it takes someone 3 weeks to learn how to do it. And I'm sure they don't feel successful when your office manager, who's maybe 50 or 60 and been in the business a long time, is constantly frustrated with them because they can't do it right. And they're thinking, I'm just going to go work somewhere that's got a better system. I really think that's part of it. No one is talking about that, but I really think that is part of the turnover problem. So that's one thing. The other thing that you talked about that I think is really important that not enough people really realize is something that the HealthStream report calls the software death spiral. And you basically called it out, Jennifer, on what you said. And I've experienced this myself on the software side in 3 different industries. In banking, I was in banking in the 1990s. In BI and analytics, a whole other industry where you had the green and white paper and all your reports were like the green screen and you had to like move the cursor over with the arrow. Like, that's how old I am.
Yep.
And now in healthcare. And what you see is that we get these big old ticket items, $100,000, $75,000, whatever, to get a server, get my software, get going. And then I just paid $250 a month for the rest of my life. And that, right? But that model doesn't work 20 years down the road. You have innovators, people putting out new stuff, and then you sunk 20 or 30 or 50 or $100,000 already. You're thinking, I should never have to do this again. But guess what? If that company is going to survive, they've got to start building new software. And then they have this investment conundrum. Where do I put my money? I got these, 10,000 people paying me $250 a month, but I'm losing people like crazy because I need something modern. I got to figure out a way to shift money over here. So what happens to the end user? My support calls take longer.
Yep.
I have people telling me all the time, I save my support calls for Friday when the office is closed. And then that's when I call. My reports are bogging down. I don't get as many updates, maybe no updates anymore. And so so you have to recognize those signs is all I'm saying, because it's a real business problem. And if you're in the middle of it, you're experiencing that, you need to make a change now. Otherwise, you're going to get a letter one day or an email, and you're going to be like under pressure. Oh my God, I have to change systems in the next 6 months, and I've been on this system 20 years. You need to take control of that and make the change on your terms, is what I'm saying. And not
Chad,
even
you did make the change. So talk about, as an end user, when you made the decision to move to Curve. I know it probably wasn't easy, because it's never easy to move your practice management software. There's a lot of learning curves, no pun intended, but like, especially if you've been on a system, there's muscle memory even that you have to deprogram of, like, I don't always click on the upper right anymore to go to x-rays or, whatever. So talk a little bit about that, Chad, if you don't mind. Like, what was that like for you?
So I will tell this in front of everybody, and I want to say that I entirely support Curve, but I will say it is the hardest decision that we have made in my 25 years of practice. It was the right decision by far, but you were talking about staffing shortages earlier, okay? I feel very blessed. I've got two assistants that have been with us, one 26 years, one 25 years this year. I've got two other team members that are almost at 20 years, and then I've got a 7, a 12, another 15 to 20 that I failed to mention. It's rare that we have to hire people, but when we are hiring people, that's the demographic that we're seeing that you were talking about. But anyhow, these people have, especially the ones that have been with us forever, they've been used to using this one software management, practice management software system the whole time. It's just different variations of it, but it's, and I encourage everybody to read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? Because there's a lot of cheese moving going around. And there was a lot of complaining for 6 months to a year. My favorite complaint, I'll throw it out there because I guarantee you everybody will get this. Every software is going to go out from time to time. It's not because of the software. It's probably because of the dang internet in your office. All right? But cloud-based software is so much better, but it's technology. It relies on a signal to your computer in terms of internet capabilities. It relies on speed. It relies on a lot of things. And every now and then, technology is going to crap the bed. My favorite is... I just hate it when this goes out. Our old software would have never done this. Like, really? 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 How many times have you come to me and told me that the computer's not working? I love you, but that's not a good excuse. It took about 6 months for the complaints to decrease. After a year, they're completely dismissed. And now, if we decided to do it again, I think I better run but they're used to it now. And love them all. Sometimes they're a little stubborn to answer the way that you think that they should. They will never say that it was the best decision that we made. But if you asked them point blank, but in the end, they know. And they all know why we did it. That was the biggest thing. Why are we doing this? Because I want everybody to be pissed off at me for 6 months. That's why we're doing it. No, we're doing it for the benefit of the practice and to take this practice to the next level. That's why we did it. And in turn, it's going to be the best for our patients. So that's my
word to the wise, though. Don't bring it on when you're also onboarding a bunch of other technology and new things into the practice.
Yes.
What Chad is absolutely saying is that it takes time and attention and an embracing of that change. And everybody's different. Some are going to be super pumped and they love change. That's their energy. They feed off of it. And others, the minute you turn your back, will go right back to doing it the way they've always done it before because it's comfortable. And so when you force them out of that, there's a lot of pain that goes through that. So, the moral of the story is best decision, but also be mindful that it can't also be the day that you bring on an iTero for the first time and you decide to do same day milling, and it can't be the day you bring the 3D printer in, and it can't be the day the new hire shows up. And it has to be a mindful and thoughtful transition because it is without a doubt probably the most disruptive change that we do in practice.
And I'm going to turn it back to Jana here in just a second, but I've got to say one thing, and I will tell anybody thinking about switching to any practice management software, hopefully it's Curve, but I will tell anybody this. Stop your billing on the previous software on a certain date and start your billing on the new software on another date. Keep all of that separate. Your life will be a lot easier. Don't enter it in both computer systems because I finally had to take away Dentrix from my team. Put a sign up there, all like at the liquor store. At least that's what my friends say. Before this date, everything goes into X. After this date, everything goes into Curve. Yeah. And it will make your life so much easier. We did it mid-year, June 30th, we're done with the old system, July 1st. And as I'm sitting here preaching to you, that's not what we did. We entered it in both software systems. I had an employee, love her dearly, staying up there till 7 o'clock at night, making sure that everything jived. And finally, I told my IT guy, tomorrow morning when she shows up, I want Dentrix off of her computer. I want it gone.
Unplug it.
I want it on the server so we can access it, but it needs to be gone. Guess what? She leaves at like 5:10.
Yeah.
Life changes. Talk about efficiency. So there you go.
So true. Yeah, we always, at our last business, I ran all of the implementations, thousands of implementations in home health, hospice, and durable medical equipment. And that really became a passion for me. But we had a joke where we said, everyone wants a new house, but no one wants to move.
That's right.
It's so true, right? And that's how it is getting a practice management platform. I think the biggest success, two things drive big success with a team, and it's hard. I always say, like, easy and implementation never should be in the same sentence ever. It is a hard thing to do. It is a worthwhile thing to do. It's the right thing to do, but it is hard. The good news is, in our case, look, we charge about 25% of what it costs us to get someone through implementation. Literally, painfully on my P&L. But I know it's the right thing to do, because if I can help people get on the platform, help their teams get excited, and then they start to see the 30% increased case acceptance, the 40% less no-shows, like they start seeing the results where they're not doing all this extra work, then they're super happy about it. Their collections of 30, 60, 90 buckets go down. They're sending those automatic invoices over the phone. They're sending treatment plans over the phone. Mom's sitting in the chair signing it on her phone and sending it back. All this stuff starts happening, and they're like, whoa, we used to have to do all this stuff. So that's how we get them happy, is get them trained where they know, show them all of the quick ways they can get answers. That's our first foray into AI actually was to help this, and it was called Ask Curve AI. And we took all of our content, billions of things of content, and videos and everything else, and put it into this AI model. And now I can just go and ask a question, and it's going to give me links to the answers, give me a fast answer. I don't have to call support. I can. And someone in the United States will pick up the phone and talk to me, in Utah, actually, but I don't have to. And so the people that we've launched into Curve since we had that, we have like 50% less phone calls even from them. So it's it's like that self-help, and it's the self-serve, and then we're there for you and we've got it for you. So we make a really big deal of how we do implementation. I would say, Chad, we've probably improved even a bit since you guys came on board, because we've really focused on it the last 3 years. Because in this kind of business, the worst thing that can happen to you is make the investment of time and money to get someone on the platform and then have them leave. It's just a business. You don't want that to happen. Not only that, you don't want that customer service experience.
I don't know how the hell y'all could have improved implementation, because the holding of the hand, the walking through, the excessive. Now, you could have decreased the amount of time we had to sit there in the back watching somebody talk to us about the features, but we'll get to that later. But there was a lot of time and money spent on
now. They're short.
Implementation. I agree with that. And God bless, I think it was Kristen or Holly or somebody that we would call all the time, because I know that she'd be sitting there and then she'd be like, oh shit, it's Fossil Creek down there again.
There's Fossil Creek.
I'm telling you, it was like, okay, folks, you don't need to call her every hour on the hour to ask a question.
She doesn't work here.
Problem solve.
Hey, but that's we have Ask Curve AI now, and they can ask all the questions they want, which is so great. I think it's like a little security blanket. It's really helping people.
Yeah.
All right, Jana, let's look in the future.
Okay.
What's going to separate practices over the next decade? I think, my news story was pretty on point, and we've actually seen those statistics coming out pretty consistently over the last 12 months. There's definitely compression in the marketplace for dentistry. You've got increased number of dentists coming out of dental school, increased market share of PE and DSO back practices, no movement on reimbursements, and you've got rising costs, and overhead management is continuing to be an issue for the independent practitioner.
That's right.
So what's going to separate those who thrive? What's going to be the thing for the independent practitioner that's going to separate them to be successful for the next decade?
I think you have to say that technology is a strategic business decision now. It's not a choice. It's not, I've been on this software 25 years. I had a dentist in an email, I don't know, a few months ago. Well, actually got accidentally copied on it. He was sending it back to his office manager who was trying to talk him into going to Curve. And his answer was, I spent $20,000 on this server 20 years ago. I don't intend to spend one more dollar on technology. I think that's really, truly the mindset of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's really to his detriment. And he, again, probably heads down, fingers in mouth, kind of a dentist. But technology has to be a strategic business. People got to get it. It's a strategic business decision. You've got to get rid of all of these separate softwares. I mean, I don't know if people realize this, but if I have a client server, software, and then I have 4 or 5 different solutions tied into it, every one of those connections increases your threat vector for cyber attack. And I don't say that to be scary. I say that to be honest. A typical event is about $9 to $10 million now in healthcare to get your data back and get over it. That's like all or a large portion of someone's retirement, right? Yep. Just to get going again, right? Well, I guess I'm working 10 more years now, right? Yep. And why is that? Because the data is so valuable, and the amount of security on that data really that you can afford, like you said, you can't afford Epic, you can afford just what you can afford. It's easy. It's an easy target, right? And so it's just like, let's go see whose door's open. And it's just a bot. It's not a guy in a hoodie in a dark room anymore, right? So these are real things that people just don't really kind of want to think about. But if I make a strategic choice, like what Chad was saying, it's best for my business. It's best for the security of my data and my HIPAA responsibilities. It's best for efficiency and to try to get back some of that margin compression that I'm experiencing. It's best to solve the front desk problems. If I do that, is it going to be a little painful and my team's going to complain? And I had one dentist said, I'm putting this box on the table. You have 30 days to bitch, and that's it. After that, we're not complaining anymore. I was like, oh, I like that. That's kind of fun.
I like that. Chad, you should have done that.
I should have, but
I thought I was like, that's really creative. Just let them get it all out. Because change is hard. I don't care what you're doing. Change is hard. But if you as the leader get it, that if you want your business to thrive, you want to grow, you might say, well, I'm never going to be a group. No, but you're probably going to retire one day. You'd like to get the best enterprise value for your practice when you sell it to an associate or to a group or anything else. If you have good technology, transparency in reporting, if you have a growing practice because you have transparency in pricing, you have good billing, you have clean books, you're going to get the enterprise value you deserve for that practice. You are not getting that with old technology. You will get marked down, in fact, because of old technology. So it's something that I don't know, I just don't hear a lot of people talking about it. And I think we need to talk about it more for the good of the business mind of a dentist and to help dentistry continue to move forward. Because I'll tell you what, 25 years ago, I'll just say this because it's obvious to everyone, it's not a dig on anyone, but 25 years ago, CareStream was the stuff, right? They had the best imaging, they had all these software products, they had great products. Where is CareStream today?
Gone.
Yeah.
And why? Because they're trying to figure out where they invest. Do they stay in imaging? Do they do software? What happens? They maybe didn't have software people running that. I don't know. But I'm just telling you from what I see from the outside, you've got a bunch of software where you got a few people left on it now. And where they got to go somewhere. I mean, you have people hanging on to that old software. The same is true for other names I won't say. The story's the same. I'm just saying don't get stuck there. If you want to thrive, technology has to be a strategic decision for you. If you want to be on a server base, there's plenty of people on Open Dental. Open Dental is still getting market share in client server. I get that. Some people are super comfortable with that. If you're going to do that, have an effective bridge strategy. Lower the number of solutions you're using. Something like Flex is awesome for your front end, for your patient engagement, for your communications. Dental HQ, a great membership software, things that are good, solid solutions with companies that are investing. And you got to get that number of logins down. You got to get it streamlined in your office and design it. Here's the other thing I would say. You got to think about designing your practice for what you want it to be, not around your head count or your people. You got to think about it strategically, right? We have to be efficient. We have to be collecting. We've got to get that amount, the patient amount right the first time. We've got to get that money when they walk out the door. We've got to be able to send them automated invoices that post back automatically. We've got to have automated forms. Like, you just need to look at every one of those operational areas and figure out, how do we make it less, right? And that's what technology can do.
And I think everybody listening will believe this to be true. Anytime I brought something new into the practice, when it made everybody's experiences better, their user interface was improved, going from a PVS to a digital scan was even working through the pain of learning how to scan, they still didn't want to pick up another impression tray. So I think Curve is the exact same way. It's a user interface experience that is vastly improved over so many of the other programs out there, that yes, there'll be clunks and change is hard for folks, but the majority of them will be just so excited that they don't have to do it the old way anymore, because the old way was sucky and cumbersome and such a juggernaut to their work-life balance and experience that, it doesn't take long to get them bought in. You're the champion and the leader, but once they have those few big wins, they're not going back. They don't want that experience anymore either.
Yeah, you're right. You have to make it through those change gates,
right,
and get those successes, and that's what we really aim for, to help them see the benefits.
Absolutely. Chad, anything else?
I know we're very short on time, but I do have a quick question that I don't want to dismiss, and then we can close. How's that?
Sounds great.
Okay. I get asked this by a lot of people. Going back to something you said earlier, Jana, get asked this by a lot of people who are still on server-based software. How secure is Curve? And I remember the story that you all told me, and I'm sure that you all have even enhanced security, but I am a firm believer that cloud-based is much better than server-based for that alone. So would you share what you all do annually to
Yes.
ensure our safety?
Yes. Look, think about it this way. For us as a company, it is the most important thing that we do. And it is the most probably important thing that we do for you as our customers. Our servers, all of our cloud is completely in Amazon. Okay. So that's one thing. They have very, very high level security, but that's not all. We have audits every year, security audits every year. If there is even a little yellow, little teeny tiny thing, we stop and we address that immediately. If there's any vulnerability at all, there are times when there's nothing. There's times when there's a little thing here or there. We don't put it off. We handle it. We also have white hat hacker attacks, unannounced, that we pay for on an annual basis, so that the intrusion is coming at us. We don't know when, and we are practiced at handling it and knowing that, well, they didn't get in. Right. So
and you all do that numerous times per year, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
That's what that's what I wanted you to hit on.
Right. And that's the important thing. It's unannounced, because when it starts coming, our people have to know, see it, what's happening, where's it coming from, and then we have to watch the system do what it's supposed to do and hold it out. The other thing I would say for those, people that are super worried is, well, it's on the cloud. What if somebody logs in at my office? Well, if somebody gives their password away, that's a problem. If someone got into your database, or your instance is the real technical word to say, they can't get any further than that. So that could happen on anything. You could give your password away on Open Dental or Dentrix or anything, and someone could get in and put data that they shouldn't, right? So that's up to you to secure. That's your part of HIPAA, that your employees obey those rules. Beyond that, there is no access to your data other than people that you give passwords to. Right? There's no firewall at your office that they can penetrate. Not for getting to Curve. They're not getting to Curve that way. So that lower end, the hackers, the cyber attacks are like, let's just knock on these doors and see which ones are unlocked. Well, at your practice, it'd be a way easier for it to be unlocked than to get into the Amazon data center and to penetrate what's going on there. So besides the fact that we do those tests all the time. So yes, something we take very seriously. We try not to talk about it a lot because it feels like fear mongering. It's not that at all. It's a very real threat that we want to help people stay safe on.
Wonderful.
Great question, Chad, which is surprising from you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
So, well, with that, I want to thank you again and thank Kerr for being here. I mean, I think we covered a lot of ground tonight. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I had a great time tonight.
Well, we certainly had a great time too, learned a lot, took some notes, but I will close with this because I'd never heard this quote before, but it was a pretty fantastic one. Everyone wants a new house, but no one wants to move. And that is so powerful. If you think about it, if you break it apart, that's exactly what this change entails. But folks, it's time to move. You got to move. Keep moving, and we'll close with that. So have a great night, everybody.
And that wraps up another podcast for Dentists in the Know. On behalf of Dr. Jennifer Bell, Dr. Chad Duplantis, and myself, remember that we've got a great profession, so let's make it a great day, Dinks.